Welcome back to the Exponential Growth Workshop. I'm honestly, from the bottom of my heart, so glad that you've made it back for video 2. This is what I love doing, and the fact that you showed up means the world to me. You're currently in video 2 out of 4 of the exclusive Exponential Growth Workshop, where we're going to show you how you can make tiny changes in your life that are going to bring you remarkable results and allow you to actually achieve goals bigger than the ones that you're currently setting, while still having more free time, more freedom, and more fulfillment. I just want to say that you're absolutely incredible for showing up. So many people these days, they show up for the first part of a workshop and then they drop off. But you are awesome. You've showed up for video 2 and I'm so excited that you've made it back here. Now, if you missed video 1 in this free workshop, then I highly suggest that you go and watch it. In that video, I show you the biggest epiphany that I've ever had in my life, along with a whole lot more. So if you haven't watched it right until the end, click the link below this video to watch that right now, and I'll still be waiting for you when you come back. But in this video, I'm going to be showing you how you can make tiny changes in your life that are going to completely change the trajectory of your life pretty quickly with very little willpower. But before we get into that, give me just 60 seconds to explain to you why where you are at the moment in your life doesn't matter. What matters a whole lot more is your trajectory. If I asked you if you could improve yourself by just 1% today, then you'd probably say yes. 1% isn't all that much and it actually seems very manageable. Well, the good news is if you can improve yourself by just 1% every day for the next year, you're going to start seeing amazing progress. Now, this is the graph that shows from 0 all the way up to 100 your personal development. And if you can improve by just 1% every single day, then this is the kind of progress you're going to see. This is the formula, ignore it, but you can clearly see here that this is 1%, and the x there to the power of x, that just means the amount of days that go on. So this is the kind of progress you'll see if you can start to improve yourself by just 1% every day. And if we zoom out a little bit, you're going to see the kind of progress you can make over a year. So this is the line that shows 365 days, and it shows that if you can improve yourself by just 1% every single day for a year, you're going to end up 37.783 times better than you were originally. You're going to grow by 37.78 times. And this shows the power of tiny changes, and improving just by 1% every day quickly adds up till you start seeing exponential growth. But now imagine the opposite is true, and there's actually someone up here who's at the personal growth of 100. They're absolutely amazing, but they start to decrease their capacity to improve by just 1% every day. You can quickly see how quickly their growth starts to go off. I would much rather be someone that was down here at 1% of personal growth, that was quickly improving themselves by just 1% every day, because they're quickly going to overtake the other person, compared to someone who's in an amazing place but who's getting a little bit worse every single day. And this proves that it doesn't matter where you are, it doesn't matter whether you're up here or whether you're down here, what matters is your trajectory, because quickly with time, your trajectory will determine where your end result is. So, to reach our full potential and get those feelings of freedom, fulfillment, and have more free time, then we've got to create a system that allows us to experience that just 1% daily growth every single day. And when we manage to create that system, all feelings of guilt that we're not reaching our potential completely disappear, because in reality, that guilt is probably plaguing you, and when it disappears, you will feel absolutely amazing. On top of that, the need and the want to procrastinate almost instantly vanishes. And on top of that, that energy where you just feel like you want a little bit more energy as you go throughout your day, that feeling completely disappears and you will feel completely energized. It's an amazing feeling. But how do we create that system? As we know from the last video, it's of vital importance that we make the correct decisions as we go throughout our day. But as you know, that is difficult and it requires more willpower than most people have. But we need a system that allows us to constantly make the correct decisions throughout our day. Luckily, there is something that does just that, and that is habits. Small habits throughout the day, they seem insignificant, but as you do them day after day after day, soon they build up on each other and fuel bigger wins that multiply to a degree that far outweighs the cost of their initial investment. They are both small and mighty, and most importantly, once a habit is created, it requires zero willpower. I always used to focus on trying to change my behaviors by focusing on the outcome, focusing on the results that I wanted to get. But the truth is, and it's been scientifically proven, that this is by far the least effective way to make behavior change. The alternative is focusing on who you want to become. And again, this has been scientifically proven to be by far the most effective way to make behavior change. Now, I know this sounds a bit hippie-ish, but just let me explain. This is Bob, and this is Jim. I decided to bring them back seeing as so many of you guys emailed me after the first one saying how much you enjoyed them. But in this one, Bob and Jim decide to stop smoking. When offered a cigarette, Bob says, "No thanks, I'm trying to quit." On the other hand, Jim says, "No thanks, I'm not a smoker." Now Bob's response sounds completely normal, but it suggests that Bob still thinks he is a smoker who's trying to be something else. Jim's response shows a shift in identity. Smoking was part of his old life, not his current one. And because of that, it makes it inevitable that he will quit smoking, and it makes it highly likely that Bob will continue to smoke. It's almost impossible to start changing your habits unless you change the identity that's causing that behavior to happen. And in fact, identity is so powerful that the more pride that you have in a certain aspect of your life, the more likely you are to reinforce that pride and protect that pride. For example, if you're really proud of your hair, you're going to start developing all sorts of weird and wacky habits to maintain that identity around that part of your body. You're going to start maintaining habits of keeping your hair fresh and tidy and clean all day round. And as a result of this, true behavior change is identity change. You might start changing a habit out of just pure motivation and willpower, but the only way you're going to get that habit to stick is when it becomes part of your identity. True behavior change is identity change. Now we know that one out of the 2 steps to complete and utter drastic behavior change is focusing on your identity, but how exactly do we change your identity? Well, the first step is to recognize that your identity comes from your habits. You weren't born with preset beliefs or a preset identity. It comes from experience. More precisely, the more you do a behavior, the more you exercise a habit, the more your identity is reinforced about that behavior. That means that whatever your identity is right now, you only believe it because you have proof for it. You go to church every day, every Sunday for 3 years, and that is proof that you're religious. Or you revise at the end of the school day for 2 hours every single day, and that is proof that you're a hard-working reviser. Or you exercise every day. You even exercise when it's snowing, and that gives you proof that you're dedicated to fitness. The actions you take are giving you proof for the identity that you hold. As a result of this, we do not change ourselves like a snap of the fingers. We change our identity bit by bit, day by day, habit by habit. Every action you take is a vote for your new identity. That's why your habits doesn't just change just like that, but every time you do a behavior, you're now giving yourself more evidence and more votes and more votes and more votes for a certain kind of identity. This is the reason that meaningful change does not require huge change. Every small action that you take that reinforces a new identity is meaningful in changing that identity. And because it's meaningful, it is big. And that is the paradox of making tiny changes in your life. Those changes actually have a huge effect if they're reinforcing a positive identity. So to conclude this little section, it's clear to see that habits are the most effective way in changing your identity. The quickest way to change who you are is by changing what you do. But it gets even better, because each habit that you start to implement isn't just changing your identity, or it's not just changing the actions you take. It's actually teaching yourself to trust yourself. When you keep giving votes on yourself, votes that you can do the things you set out to do, votes that you do complete your habits, you trust yourself and you manage to believe that you can start accomplishing great things. And that is an essential belief, and it will carry you through the whole of your life. But new identities require new changes. You've got to be voting for the right identity. And if at the moment, if in the past month, you've been voting for the wrong identity, you've been resisting to you've been giving in to temptation, you've been failing to do the things you set out to do, you've been not pushing yourself to your full potential, then you must change, because that is you voting for the identity that's going to bring you on this steep downward trajectory into a life of misery, into a life of depression, depression, and I hate to scare you, but you must get this through your mind that you've got to start voting for the right identity. Because in reality, behavior change is a simple two-step process. Number one is decide the person that you want to be. Decide the type of person that you want to be. And then number two, start giving yourself these small wins that prove to yourself again and again that you are that kind of person. And when you start getting these small wins, everything becomes easy. The first step is just getting yourself those small wins. But once you get those small steps, your identity switches and everything becomes easy. The difficult part is just the part that you're in at the moment. So we've learned that the two reasons that people fail to make drastic changes in their behavior is because number one, we tried to change the wrong thing, and number two is we tried to change it in the wrong way. The first point is to try and change the wrong thing. We now know that we need to be focusing on identity, but we've just discovered that to start changing our identity, we've got to start getting ourselves those small wins. We've got to start changing our behavior to get those small wins. And this seems like a kind of vicious cycle where we need to change our identity, but to change our identity, we need to change our behaviors. It's kind of vicious, but in reality, this cycle is actually a good thing for you. This vicious cycle that most people get stuck in their whole life is actually going to be a beneficiary to you, and it's going to allow you to make drastic behavior changes quicker than everyone else around you. Now, enough beating around the bush. In the next video, I'm revealing it all. We've all been dilly-dallying around the point, but the next video is the one that's going to reveal everything to you. Reveal to you exactly the three-step method that you need to take to start getting yourself those small wins. But not only getting yourself those small wins, getting them easily. And in fact, the three-step method after you've got those small wins are going to be the three steps that you're going to follow again and again in your life to stop getting just small wins and start making big wins, huge changes in your life that completely change your trajectory and completely change the results you get. When you start looking at yourself in the mirror and you're proud of the person that you've become, that is an incredibly powerful feeling, and it will completely fulfill your life and seep into every aspect of your life. Your relationships will start to improve drastically. Your health and your fitness, you'll be motivated naturally. Not motivated because you're scared or you're annoyed or you don't want people to judge you, but motivated from a positive point of view. Everything will change, and I can't wait to share it with you in that next video that's just coming out in 2 days. That's where we reveal absolutely everything. Now, if you've got any questions, then email me at andrew@andrewkirby.net, and I'll see you in 2 days.